Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. Don Pelto here. I have Jim McDannald here. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, Don, how's it going?
Good. So if anyone used to listen to us probably over a year ago, Jim and we started something together, and it was a lot of fun. And then we've been friends ever since. Jim, though, now is working with another. He kind of abandoned me. He jumped ship, and he is with our friend Tyson. And it's been an awesome podcast for those. It's a very niche podcast, and this is what Jim always says. He says, "Don, you have to focus it in. You're like almost like a deer looking in the headlights. You look at everything." But tell me about this new podcast that you guys are doing. What's up with that?
Well, thanks so much for the intro, Don. And that is not a slight to you whatsoever. You're a guy you're a smart man. You have a lot of interests, and I think you bring a lot of value to the people that listen to this show, and to provide the videos that you do for the profession is a huge win. So congrats on Podiatry Management Minute. I think it's a great thing. And thanks for the plug. The Podiatry Marketing Podcast that I do with Tyson Franklin every Monday. And, the real goal of this podcast is to, break down different marketing topics, ways to, add value to patients, gain more visibility for people's practice so they can do kind of more the work they love. Because I think, when we get into practice, we're kind of dealing with an educational system, which is great from a clinical skills and from a surgical skills perspective. But when it comes to, business acumen, understanding how to really let patients know about all the foot and ankle care you provide, there's not really a clear guidebook for that. I know that you've provided some resources. Your channel is a great aspect. Provide some great information there. There's some different books that are out there, but we really wanted to start doing the Podiatry Marketing Podcast to have consistent conversations about these ways that really work. So when people either go hire a marketing provider or want to do some stuff DIY, that they feel like they're kind of getting the biggest bang for their buck.
That's good, Jim. So take us a little bit, and I think people like this. I know Brendan Bouchard does this, where he kind of goes behind the scenes and people can kind of see, well, what's involved. So tell us a little bit about like what's involved, what your schedule is, how you guys think of ideas, what's kind of the format for this podcast.
Yeah, sure. So I'd say the podcast is kind of set up in a way where kind of an interchanging host and guest kind of role. So one week, Tyson will have a topic that he wants to discuss, and I'll kind of be in the host role, asking him, introspective questions about, how has that worked for people that are in his coaching program, or what did he see when he was in practice? Just kind of getting those kind of real world details and really kind of picking apart those kind of things. My area of expertise is more kind of on the digital side. Obviously, he's him being an Australian podiatrist, he has a certain way of viewing things. Me having practiced in the States and in Canada, I have a different perspective as well, along with kind of that I am a digital marketing provider. Things like Google ads or Facebook or LinkedIn or doing things on websites. So mine will kind of usually be more, I'd say kind of like practical tips when it comes to like, should you do a Facebook page or should you do Google search ads? So it's a fun partnership just because we kind of go back and forth. Usually the episodes only last between 20 to 30 minutes. So it's not like something where we're spending an hour and a half. Hopefully that, most people will listen to it, coming to or from the clinic, in the morning or evening, kind of on their commute. We're trying to kind of make it a nice bite-sized chunk. It's not as bite-sized as the ones you produce there, Don. Yours are, really on point. You could listen to almost in between patients some of those episodes you have, but that's kind of how the format's set up. Like I said, just trying to deliver some value on these different topics that we come up with.
So you told me this before, you guys meet Tuesday evenings, you record 2 episodes at a time. And do you guys use like Zoom like this, or do you use a different, I think people are interested, like what you use? He does the editing, I hear, so that's a good thing. Who does the thumbnails, all this other background? Do you have a virtual assistant, or how does that get done?
Yeah, so for the production is pretty simple. I would say that, to produce, obviously you have to have a certain amount of equipment. Obviously a microphone. I use headphones sometimes. As far as software goes, he utilizes a Zoom. I think it's like a Zoom recorder that can basically tap in through USB-C, but also I create a backup on a software called Riverside.fm.
Okay.
So this is a way to create both audio and video for podcasts, which can be a helpful thing. Also with the utilizing that Riverside, instead of, it's kind of like a Zoom, but just sometimes a little bit higher quality. What I'll sometimes do is we'll obviously have that entire video recording from the session, and it allows me to kind of make some promotional material, whether it be utilizing Descript or a different type of way to use some transcription underneath. You've seen all those videos on
Yep.
social media.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually released the video aspect of the podcast. It's all audio currently. Maybe someday in the future, we've got almost 60 episodes. So maybe
Wow.
we'll hire somebody to edit all those together and put them on YouTube with thumbnails. But for right now, we decided just to keep it audio with the video promotion. Other aspects. So we utilize a very simple website creator for this. Our website's podiatry.marketing is
Okay.
the domain
Podiatry
name.
marketing. Okay.
Yeah, and we utilize a provider called Podpage.
Podpage. Okay.
Yeah, so this is an easy way to like set up a podcast. It's Tyson has his personal website. I have Podiatry Growth website, and we thought let's just have a third place for the podcast to kind of live between us. So I linked to it from my website. He links to it from his, but it's nice because it connects directly to iTunes, Spotify. It's almost kind of syndicates all of the all the distribution of your podcast, and it also ties into the podcast host that we use. So we use a podcast host called transistor.fm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hook up Podpage to Transistor, let's say like I upload the final recording, which is, like you said, Tyson edits the entire podcast together. I get that final file. I upload it into transistor.fm. I write the title. Most of the stuff is similar to what the previous episode was. We've already put in the hosts, the categories, all that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's basically the title. We don't usually change the kind of cover image. And then you have the description. So I basically have to write the description of what the podcast is. I schedule it. And then, whatever day I scheduled it for, usually it goes out at 5 a.m. Eastern time on Mondays. Okay. And, then it publishes then. It's available for people to listen, to download. We're like I mentioned to you previously, we're working on, we utilize a little bit of pre-roll or post-roll. So before or after the podcast, we'll sometimes include either special messages, or currently Tyson is doing a kind of a coaching, an online coaching reboot. Yeah. Yep. So you can kind of promote some things there to be helpful to the audience. So that's kind of the nuts and the bolts. That transistor.fm also provides some analytics. So you can see the number of downloads you've had, where they're from, which are the popular episodes. So maybe makes sense to branch off in certain directions if you want to have further discussions that you found that the audience thought was interesting based off of download numbers or the way they've reacted online. What was
the most popular topic? And then as you're looking for that, I just want to give a shout out to Tyson. So Tyson's got a book out, and when you look at the book, he looks serious in the book. But when you talk to Tyson, he's like a goofball. Okay, he is. He's less serious than Jim. Jim's more serious than Tyson. Tyson's less serious, and he's got this reboot, which I would definitely. That's like, it's low money for what you get, and well, it's, if you don't do anything and if you're lazy, don't pay for it because you're going to waste your money. But what's I think $1,200, $1,600 or something like that. What is that if you could just do 3 pairs of orthotics more? And you could definitely can get 3 pairs of orthotics more out of doing his course. The challenge is us making a decision to do something. And that's the whole thing. Like, it's hard to move a rock, and a lot of us, and because we have other obligations. And so I think doing a reboot, I think getting a podcast, listening to those, you have to get it into your habit. That's what I think. So what Jim said is, like, you do it when you're on your way to work. You got these podcasts, you put them on your phone and you listen to them. So what was the biggest one?
Yes, I'll give you the top 5. I'll go from the number 5 up to number 1. Okay. Number 5 is the top 3 ways to market your podiatry clinic. Number 4 is Google search ads basics.
Ooh.
Number 3 is developing niche expertise in podiatry.
Ooh.
Number 2 is welcome to podiatry marketing. And number 1 is the content matrix. So that's like kind of a system, or kind of like how Tyson like sees content, and kind of a way to like approach marketing a practice. So yeah, that's the top 5. And yeah, like I said, I think we're currently on, what are we at here? 67. So this week is episode 56, and yeah, we plan on to keep pumping this out, and hopefully if people have ideas for topics or things they want to hear about, we're definitely open. They can, visit our website and make some suggestions. We're always open to feedback from the audience.
That's awesome, Jim. Like, especially like so you're asking about like, when do you go to YouTube? In my opinion, and I learned this from Russell Brunson, like people that like podcasts, listen to podcasts. You can't get a podcast person to move over to YouTube or move over to TikTok or move. So you already know this because I've mentioned this to you, but people listening, it might not. It's called, oh gosh, I can't even remember. It's the one that takes it from one medium and puts it to other ones. Oh, I'm forgetting it right now, but it can take like a YouTube video, puts it on Facebook, takes it on TikTok, moves it everywhere else. I think it's, I'm forgetting it right now, but there's a lot of other ones that you can do that. So I'm thinking, you're like wondering, do I need a who to post those? What you may be able to do is just put it in that platform and it does it automatically for you, sending it. Because people that are on podcasts, they're not going to listen to YouTube videos or Facebook. That's what I've learned. So you have to kind of have all those mediums, and it's kind of a pain in the butt unless you can automate it. So
yeah, and I would say
I think it's syndicate.io or something like that. Syndicate.
I'll take a look at that. I'm kind of picky, even like the YouTube videos I want to watch. I don't necessarily want it to be like two static talking heads for, 25 or 30 minutes, having some images or the camera moving a little bit. Maybe I'm ADHD, like those lower thirds or something, right above my head when I'm giving the points, like a checklist. So that's where I kind of struggle with videos. There's so many different things you can do with video that I kind of get caught up in it.
This is the one. It's called repurpose.io.
Okay.
So repurpose.io. This is the guy. I got this idea from Ari Meisel, and he's like he's the efficiency guru. And what he said is like, you can make, and this is just for the podiatrist listening, maybe not for you, but like you can make a little 1-minute video, you save it to your Google Drive, and it automatically sends it over to like YouTube, and it can add actually the same thing that you do through Descript. It does the same thing. It actually pulls the transcriptions and adds them into the video automatically. So it's kind of it's kind of like a combination between, it's like $30 a month. So something to consider as well. So there's always new technology. So
yeah, it's crazy.
But thank you for sharing that. And so when people, like, I would recommend you guys binge listen to podiatry.marketing, the podcast. And the way I do it, and I want to tell you, these are some tips. This is the way I do it. You listen to it double speed and you download them to your phone for when you like have this boring time, like you're waiting for surgery. Like, let's say you're waiting, you're like, your rooms are closed, you can't get in there and you're stressed. So nothing better than Tyson and Jim to calm you down. So you just put in your headphones and you listen to it like it sounds like the Chipmunks, because it's really fast, but that's the best way I like. So you can get through a lot of episodes real quick. So that's what I would recommend. So thank you, Jim.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the
final
plug.
words. Final words.
No, I think along with listening to our podcast, they should definitely tune in. If you're watching the video here, Don's got a great daily podcast where he takes you kind of deep inside the life of a practicing podiatrist, a guy that's determined to kind of provide kind of best practices to his colleagues. So little plug for you. I think you should have more subscribers and more listeners because you provide a lot of value to other podiatrists out there, Don.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Bye now.